What's going on here? I've got the microphone sort of in the middle here. We'll kind of point over there. John D. Villarreal here with Drew Benson. We're live at Alfa Romeo Maserati St. Pete. There's so much to talk about today that I really want to get into. Now, we've been meaning and we've been promising that we were going to have Drew on, and he's finally here. We're going to talk about Drew's award, 40 under 40. He's going to be going to Texas, Dallas soon to accept that award, and we're going to get into that. But I also want to talk about Tesla. There's been, and now some of this has been sort of percolating for a while, but I saw on a electric, and I'll put this in the video description on YouTube. I can take comments live on YouTube. This is also going out on Facebook and LinkedIn. I can respond to those later. Headline here, Fred Lambert, January 11, 2023, quote, Tesla becomes a top luxury auto brand in the US. And they throw out some numbers here, and they're actually extremely impressive in my opinion. And this has a lot of implications right now. And the top 8 selling brands is according to the United States. I won't go through all of them. Tesla, number one, 491,000 units sold in 2022. BMW, 332,000, 332,388 units. Mercedes-Benz, over 286,000 units. Lexus, number 4, at 258,000 units. And Audi, a brand that we know a lot about, over 186,000 units in 2022. Now, that's a big, big deal. That's a huge deal. Now, let's talk about this. I'm not going to put you on the spot. I'll talk about it. To me, there's many different aspects to this. One is a lot of people thought that Tesla was, in the automotive business, in my opinion, like, oh, Tesla's, they're not going to last. They're not going to be there. Talked about them maybe like the way people are talking now about Carvana and some other stuff. We're not, first of all, everything I'm saying is all my personal opinion, all of our personal opinion only. We're not alleging facts. We're not casting aspersions, all for entertainment purposes only. Please check all of the disclaimers. What's your gut reaction to that kind of success? I think you look at it a couple of different ways. Does that mean that Tesla's going to sort of take over in that business model? Does everybody like the Tesla business model? Does everybody like Tesla, the brand? Does everybody want, not everybody, this is a parenthetical everybody, but do a lot of consumers want an electric vehicle? Do you think that momentum, they're going to accelerate and that's sustainable and they've got a competitive advantage, first to market, the whole package? Or is it when these other automotive manufacturers, the Audis, the VWs, Maserati, Alfa Romeo, come online with electrification, do they take that market share back? What's your gut reaction? Nobody knows, but what's your opinion?
Well, it's surprising with Tesla because in the beginning, you thought it was going to be like a fad, right? So Tesla coming up and doing as well as they're doing, and it's really the retention of their customers, right? How many Tesla owners go back to,
I don't know those stats. Exactly. How strong is that?
I think it's pretty strong, which is surprising, right? So how many Tesla owners are coming back? That's a number we need to look up. But retaining their customers, but also reaching new customers as well. That's
awesome. Now let's talk about, for those that don't know out there, give us your position here at the Cavalli Auto Group, because it's a big position.
Yeah, so my job is fixed operations technology process manager. So implementing new technologies, making sure they work, making sure we hold people accountable, and just implementing new strategies in the fixed operations side.
Which is service, basically, service and parts, right? And so if we're looking at that world, the electrification has a lot to do with that impact. When we see electrification really coming down through all these manufacturers, what impact do you speculate or do you envision or foresee happening on the service end of it? Because I've talked to a lot of people in fixed ops like, oh, hey, when it's electric, they don't need the oil change. They don't need, right?
Yeah, but there's still, still has coolant flushes, brake flushes, brakes, tires. There's still going to be a lot of services, but not as much. But I think Tesla's done a great job of, the mobile side of things too, like going out to their customers. We don't have that service. We have roadside assistance. We can save them on the road. But I think a lot of Tesla customers have, and electric companies will go out to their houses and service them there.
If you were to put a percentage, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
You can interrupt me anytime. It's a conversation. Yeah. If you were to put any kind of percentage number on it, do you speculate like 5 years from now, 10 years from now, the impact on fixed ops? Do you think it's going to be a 10%, 20%, 50% hit on service operation revenues?
Yeah, I think we have to start talking about it. I don't know. It's such an unknown right now. So it's something we have to keep an eye on and we have to market. Volkswagen's doing this too. There's a lot of EVs coming out from Volkswagen. ID4 as well. So ID7, there's going to be the Aero cool. too. There's a lot of cars that are coming out.
Audi Q4, e-tron.
Q4, e-tron. They've been on top of it, but at the same time, it hasn't been pushed just like Tesla has been. So,
is this something that, and I don't get too into it, but if you can't or don't want to, is this something that you're starting to think about, work on with Christine and the team?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So we're testing it right now, and it's a lot of the ID4 stuff, right? Okay. We've done it with the e-trons as well. We prepared all our dealerships with charging stations. All of our techs are being trained to, take care of these cars and be up to standard on their training so that we can handle the business that's coming out. Especially Volkswagen's going to double and triple their production of these cars now that the production's in Chattanooga, right? So they're going to be pumping them out. Mm-hmm. So we have to be prepared for this, and we have to just keep talking about it.
So you think that Tesla's, and I'll touch on this a little bit more, and I want to get to under 40 because I don't want to hold you here. I can keep talking about Tesla for a little bit. Yeah. But do you feel that the Tesla momentum, is that something that is sort of addressable and maybe attainable? I'm not saying that quite right. How much of an advantage do you think Tesla has in the marketplace right there? Do you think that they're going to be the dominant player, or do you think that as Audi, VW, others start, Maserati start electrifying their fleets, that they're going to be able to take some of that market share from Tesla?
Yeah, I think as the world gets more conscious about going to EV, I think all these companies, not only Audi, BMW, Mercedes, it's also going to be the Rivians, the Lucids,
Rimac,
all these companies are going to come out, and they're going to want to have a part of that share. But with Tesla's numbers, we can see that they're not hurting at all.
No.
Right? So it's actually more attention to the EV game brings customers back to Tesla.
That's what I don't know. I don't know like how much of and Toyota, the CEO of Toyota, nonetheless, talked about this. Like, is everybody going to go to that EV game, in terms of consumers, or is the mix 5 years, 10 years from now, 50-50 between ICE and internal combustion engine and electrification, or the hybrid thing? And so, to that extent, is I wonder how saturated that market is right now. Does everybody keep growing? Is it still super? That's what I don't know.
Yeah, but even Chevy has EVs now.
Yeah.
Right? So there's all these companies that have to test it, right?
Yeah.
Tesla's been testing it for a while, and look what they're doing. So if all these companies are like, oh, we see what Tesla's doing, we have to get into that game. They're not going to go away from their internal combustion engines, but they're going to be a part of that.
But you have some manufacturers who are saying we're going full blast.
Oh yeah.
And we're all in on that. And then I wonder with the contrarian play a little bit with Toyota, how much of that market is still left there? Anyway, I'll talk a little bit more about Tesla here in a little bit. I'd love to get your comments here on the chat, but let's talk about 40 under 40, and congratulations, right?
You,
it's been a minute. It took me a little bit to get him back in this chair.
Yeah, no, it's humbling. It's also I don't like to brag about it or anything. So
I like to brag about you. I love it. I'll brag about myself, brag about you, brag about Monty, whoever.
I just kind of been avoiding it, but at the same time, it's something that I appreciate, and it's been it's years of
What is
work.
it? Explain if you don't know anything about 40 under 40, what is it?
Yeah, the top automotive professional, age 40,
or
under
less.
age 40 or less. The top 40 in the nation. So,
and this is an award from whom?
Automotive News.
Wow.
Yeah, so the industry's leader in news. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool, and I've had Gino's my mentor, and
Gino's great.
Even Paul Gomez, who won it the year before me.
Paul Gomez, fantastic.
I've had a lot of really cool people that I've worked with in this industry. Even though I've worked in a small group, it's we have tentacles out everywhere.
Well, the Cavalli Auto Group is fantastic, and I'm gonna shill for them for a little bit. Yeah. And in my opinion, and again, full disclosure, my podcast, my live podcast, are sponsored by Melanap. I love them.
Yeah,
I've
this
got
is
good.
Awesome.
Thank you. It works really well, right? And we can do all kinds of stuff. I've got information in the video description below. It's not currently sponsored as of the moment of this broadcast by the Cavalli Auto Group, but that may happen later, and who knows? And of course we both work for Cavalli Auto Group. Yes. Okay. But the Cavalli Auto Group, I think, are fantastic. I think they do a great job. We really like the family's fantastic, great history, everything like that. Yeah. Gino Walsh, a leader in the field, just super smart, super cool, right? And definitely pushes us to be excellent. And I think that what you're saying there is there's a lot of eyes and attention on what this group does. And there's a lot of leadership in the automotive space from this group.
Yeah, we walked out on a couple limbs trying things that
other
people
and you were on point.
Yeah. We thought, it's funny too, because I used to think Gino's crazy. Like this is not going to work.
But Mind Scientist crazy.
Yes, Mind Scientist crazy. But it ends up months, days, years later, it ends up coming true. And what we've done retail side and now on the fixed ops side, it's like we're ahead of the game.
And again, we're just explaining here. We're live on LinkedIn. We cannot promote. We're live on LinkedIn. We're not promoting, but we're explaining and we're excited, okay, about what's going on. And what you're telling me right now is in the automotive space is a lot changing, a lot of disruption, and people have to take risks.
Oh yeah.
There's a risk in not doing something.
Oh my God, yes.
Right.
We've seen that with other groups where they just stay stagnant and then they fall off. You know, big players will come in and buy them, and then they'll flip it around and then they'll explode, right? But our job as our group is to see, hey, what do consumers want, right?
Okay.
What experience do consumers want? What do we want as consumers? And we think about how can we make our processes better and easier for the customers and then the employees, right? First and foremost, the customer, then the employees.
The focus on the customer, and so that's an interesting balance, right?
Yeah.
So you would see like if I would use like professional wrestling or something like that, and like Vince McMahon, you know, their leadership would say like we know what the customers want more than they do or better than they do.
Yeah.
So in every industry you're looking at this, particularly one that's changing dynamic. The point that I'm trying to say is how much of it is sending a survey, hearing what the customer's saying, and then trying to address that, or how much is it to understand, hey, we're here now, everything's changing. I want to be over here, or like in football, knowing where the play is going to go.
Yes, exactly. And I think for us, it was like, hey, we know this is going to work. Let's try it, put it out there, and then see the feedback. It's not asking our customers what we want. We think, hey, this is going to be a better experience than what we're doing now. So we implement it. And then when they come in, the beauty of it is seeing a customer come in and being like, wow, this is so cool, right? And then it's instant feedback for the advisor. So the advisor has to struggle with changing the way that they've done business for years and years, right? You go from paper to pen, handwritten notes, everything's now digital, right? Texting our customers, digital MPIs, videos from the technician on each car, you know, surveys, all these things are now digital.
With this being successful, in my opinion, and what is the next move? Where do you see the next move for service and fixed ops in automotive?
Yeah, I think we're going to sustain and we're going to keep doing what we're doing currently because we only started this in 2020.
Right.
The hardest time of our lives.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
We were there.
But we started
man.
it then.
Yeah.
So to see it, you know, even we're up, you know, over 700 grand.
Well, you and your team are doing amazing.
Yeah. But now it's like, okay, so let's maintain it. Now I know we can get better doing what we need to do, but also where can these new technologies like AI comes into it. And I think the next step, there's so many phone calls that we're not answering and opportunities that we're missing. We have a great team that answers the phone, but it's about 65% of the calls.
So customer responsiveness, you think is a real, okay.
We have to be there.
Wherever the customer is.
Yes, exactly. So online is huge, but also anytime that customer needs help, when they call us, we want to be able to answer the phone. And I think the AI is going to help. And I think that's a really important next step. So I'm working on integration with the companies that we work on, with these AI companies to see if we can now schedule.
Getting the vendors to talk to each other and synergize.
Exactly.
What's the customer response been? Like, what are people saying about this situation with you?
Well, I think if you think about it, when you call large companies, airlines, banks, there's a lot of AI that you're speaking to. Right. Are you frustrated?
Can I just get a person? How do I?
Yes. But at the same time, if that AI machine can understand full sentences and get you to destination where you then have an appointment to come in,
then you're fine.
But if there's a harder question, then we can divert that back to the people. Right?
Okay.
But it's also alleviating those stresses of a consumer just wanting to get what they need, right? The attention that they're looking for. Hey, I just want an appointment. Voicemail. Waiting on hold. If we can get that AI customer to book an appointment and then just come in, it's just an oil change. Right. If they have a question about some certain electrical problem or check engine light, then we're going to get them to a person. But 75% of the calls are going to be just booking an oil change.
I don't need to talk to a top brain surgeon to take my temperature.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So let's talk about you and your career and everything. Like how has it worked out? How do you feel about automotive? Like, did you think you were going to end up here?
Not at all. I'm a kid from small town New Hampshire.
Wow.
And I took a chance and I finished school. I
Granite State.
3/4 of the way finished school, took a leave of absence, had some friends in Florida.
Yeah.
Drove down with my dog 26 hours, lived on a couch, tried to find a job. Luckily got a job as a valet. So I started as a valet and worked at Mercedes of Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah.
And so that was a big one right next to the airport.
Absolutely. Yeah. Right? Huge.
And it was funny because I got transferred to Audi Coral Springs.
Oh my gosh, ACS.
Yes.
The mothership.
That's where
you met Gino.
That's where I got started with the Cavalli Auto Group. So there's a lot of people I met at Audi Coral Springs, but I was just a valet. But it was funny because the people that transferred me to Audi Coral Springs, they told me, hey, interesting story. They thought I was stealing from Mercedes-Benz, right? Oh. So they were like trying to test me and seeing if I was stealing things, and then they couldn't figure it out. Right?
We're not alleging anything. This is his story.
But I couldn't. They couldn't prove that I was stealing, right? So then they transferred me to Coral Springs 3 months later. They're like, hey, we want you back to Mercedes. We found out that the head valet at Mercedes was staging the cars to make it look like you were stealing things, and we couldn't figure it out. So I've had this crazy journey of like, I started at Mercedes. I was just brand new, knew nothing about cars. I grew up like four-wheelers, dirt bikes, in the sticks. And then I come down here and it's luxury cars. So it's like, just a big jump. So then I just was like,
and I want to hammer that again. That's your story, your opinion. I'm not saying that. I'm not alleging anything. I have no idea what's going on. But okay. No, but if that's that's your story. So that's a huge shift.
Huge shift.
And how do you how do you feel about it now?
I mean, it's I know one thing about me. I'm gonna show up every day and I'm gonna work hard, right? So like I noticed that like if I can just master what I'm doing now, then everything's going to happen in the future.
When did you switch to the technology thing? When did Gino say, "Hey, this person knows technology"? I know you were doing service.
Yeah, so I was doing service, and then we started the call center. The call center phased out on the sales side, started on the service side, and then it was just we had to get our dealerships into the new age, right? And there was so many frustrations from our customers and figuring out how do we get to the next level.
You saw the pain point firsthand.
Yeah, saw the pain point firsthand. And then, it was funny because we used to use dealer socket service schedule.
Right. So
that sunsetted. So we had no option. It was middle of COVID. We had to figure out what we're going to do for our next service scheduler. Lauren Zappin, who worked at Car Wars, said, hey, you might want to look at Update Promise. And I said, okay. So I tried to get a meeting with Gino, and you know how he is sitting there not paying attention, calls him off. So I said, hey, let me get Paul Jensen, right? So Paul Jensen's like, holy crap, I think this, because I was like,
yes,
we're not just looking for a service scheduler, it's the full suite of products, right?
Yes.
The texting, the scheduling, the MPIs, the videos, everything. So then Paul Jensen's like, okay, so then Paul was like, Gino, I think you need to pay attention this time, right? So then we had a meeting again. And we signed up with Update Promise, and it was a lot of pain in the beginning because CDK and Update Promise, the third-party integration, trying to get them to work together where we can take an iPad with Update Promise, push data to CDK, and print out a repair order.
That's huge.
It was just the most frustrating thing in the world.
That's super hard.
So I have to maintain my service advisor's mental health.
Right.
While they're trying to write up cars.
Right.
And it's not working.
You're pioneering this stuff.
Yeah, big time. So
and taking the errors.
I'm taking errors from CDK and trying to figure out with Update Promise, how do we solve them?
Yeah.
How do we mend it together? So finally, it took about 2 years, but we're there. We can take an iPad outside. We can do a walk around with Update Promise. All the information transferred perfectly to CDK. Once we send that digital MPI over and the customer approves that work, it automatically adds those lines to the repair order on CDK. And then it dispositions the payment into CDK. So like we're fully. What's
the value added right now to the consumer, you think?
It's time.
Okay.
Time.
So the biggest thing you're trying to save is
time and transparency.
But transparency, yes, right? Yeah.
Yes. But time is huge because there was always these question marks of like, what's taking so long?
When's my car ready?
When's my car ready? But they don't understand like what's happening in the shop. They may have a massive oil leak. They come in for an oil change. Well, we're not going to just change the oil when it's leaking all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
So doing a thorough inspection of the car,
diagnostic,
everything, and then safety items first and foremost, right? So like, how do we make sure the customer's safe, right?
Right.
And they're wondering why it's taking so long. So now the video comes in.
And
then we send it to the customer, and they're like,
and personalization. I know who my
when are they going to have a chance to look 5-6 feet up in the air and see what's going on with their car?
Right.
Without sliding under.
Right. I would never do that.
Exactly. But you don't know. You just wait for the dash to tell you when something's wrong.
Okay.
Right? And these lights that come on, you don't know what they are, right? Check engine light, very general warning. Audis and VWs, EPC light, very general warning. You don't know what it is.
No.
You might have a serious problem going on under there, but you're just coming in for an oil change, right? We just want to make sure our customers are safe.
Absolutely.
But also they have that live information so that they know what's going on.
People get checked up. Yeah. You don't always know everything until you go in.
Exactly.
Same thing with the autos.
Same thing with the car. Yeah. So our job is just to connect the technician and the customer together. And the advisor is that person that does all that for them. They sends them the information, tells them what's going on. But the tech also has a big part in it with showing in the video, and they can explain things. They never did that before. They go up to the advisor and say, hey, this is what's wrong. Tell them, right? Now it's the technician. They have no way to communicate with each other, right? The consumer and the technician have no way to talk to each other unless we bring them in the shop. But now the technician can talk to the customer and tell them everything that's going on through that video. And so they're more apt to buy stuff when they can see it for their own stuff, like their own eyes.
1 second, Monty, can you just see if they want to join? If not, I mean, either way, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I could talk to you forever.
I know.
You know,
I'm
I
sorry,
don't know why. No, I love it. I love this.
To do this.
Yeah, why'd you wait so long?
I don't know.
It's not that hard.
I don't know.
Do I make it easy?
You do make it easy. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah.
I mean, so I want to say a couple more things here real quick.
Yeah.
Besides Cavalli, like if you were to look out there, like who do you see providing leadership out there? Like who do you think is really making it happen?
What do you mean making it happen? Like technology wise, I think a lot of it's the vendors, but I think what we're doing now is waiting for dealerships to actually take hold of the technology.
Okay.
Yes, they can have it, but like Paul Jensen would say, is it become closetware? Is it something we're paying for and we're actually using?
How far of a lead? So, okay, I mean, like how far of a lead do you think that we have, and how fast are the other folks, do you think, catching up, or who else is out there?
I think it's pretty quick because they have no choice, right?
The market's changed.
The market's changed completely, but how quickly can they change, right? So dealerships have to realize that if they're in the past, they're way in the past.
Wow.
If they think they're in the past, they're really in the past. So they have to move forward and they have to force it. And sometimes the best way to do that is changing pay plans, right? Holding people accountable. Before it's like
you have to incentivize what you want.
Yes, exactly. So that's the biggest key is like you have to make people understand why it's so useful. If they're doing it 100% of the time, reward them 100%.
This
right?
is awesome.
Yeah. So
Drew, you are amazing. Thank you so much. We're going to talk to Drew again.
Yeah.
40 under 40.
Yes.
How do
we'll be
people
in Dallas? We'll be in Dallas for NADA at the end of the month. Me, Gino, and Bruce.
Nice. Now we are going to be joined here by, I believe, a client of mine. Yes. I think so. Yes. I think so. We might.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much. Drew. Appreciate you. If you're so kind enough to come over, yes, we're going to be talking with Vincent Leo, currently buying a car. I don't know who's done this. Who's done? You talk about innovating. We got to get. Let's make sure the shot's in here. Put the focus on him. Who's actually gone live with the customer while they're buying a car? We're joined by Vincent Leo of Clearwater and Boston.
Yes.
Okay, tell us a little. You're so fascinating to me. You really are. Tell me about your background, kind of lay it out there. You've been an entrepreneur. You've had a lot of different Dunkin' Donuts locations. You're into real estate. You tell your story.
Well, actually, I'm an Italian immigrant. I came here as a small boy, and both my parents were very hardworking individuals.
Which city from Italy are you from?
Right outside of Salerno, which is outside of the Amalfi.
That's awesome. My wife went to medical school in Padua, speaks fluent Italian.
I speak pretty good Italian. But so we lived about 45 minutes from the Amalfi. That's where I was born, and I lived there till I was about 6 or 7 years old. But so that's what inspired me was my parents. So growing up, I was driven to be an entrepreneur because of the opportunities that this country has to offer. I mean, there's so much, this country can give to us if you work hard and you kind of.
How did you get started as an entrepreneur?
Well, as a kid, like I said, my first job was in a Dunkin' Donuts, and I was washing floors.
Wow.
I was mopping floors, cleaning the bathrooms, doing whatever I needed to do. And then, from there, I went to, hotel and restaurant management school after high school. And my goal was to be in the food business. But unfortunately, I was too eager. And instead of going into the food business, I ended up in the bike business.
The bike business?
So, yes, I was working part-time in the Dunkin' and part-time in a bicycle shop, repairing bikes. So I ended up going partners with another gentleman who's a good friend. And, then we...
Like motorcycles or bicycles?
Bicycles.
Schwinn, Huffy, all that stuff.
Yeah. Whatever.
Trek.
Well, it wasn't those brands, but we had Raleigh, we had Fuji, we had Univega, we had Columbia.
Wow.
A lot of the, those models.
Was that a good business?
It was pretty good, but what happened was in the wintertime, living in Boston, at that time I already had a family. I started a family very young. I got married, I had a baby, and I bought a house within 1 year.
Wow.
And I was like, my life really changed. So being in the bike business, I was like, hey, how am I going to pay my bills?
Right.
My mortgage was $312 a month. I remember that. It's seared in my mind. And I was like, how am I going to pay this $312 a month? This is huge. So I knew the donut business. So in the wintertime, I started making donuts again.
Yeah.
Moonlighting.
Okay, right. Second job.
Yeah, second job. So, just to get through the winters. And then what happened, one thing led to another, and I got an opportunity to develop Dunkin'. I started, someone asked me to work at a Dunkin' again. And then, I said, no, why don't I open up my own Dunkin'? And I looked for a city in Massachusetts that was in my area that didn't have one at the time. Back in those days, it's about 40 years ago, it was usually one Dunkin' Donuts to one city.
Right.
Now it's, everything
block
has changed. It's all about, geographics and population.
Did you have the money at that time? Did you need to get a loan? Did you have investors? Like, how did you start?
No, actually,
because the only reason I'm hammering, so many people out there want to be entrepreneurs, want to do their own thing. They do not know how to start, in my opinion.
Well, obviously, you have to have some assets that you can lean on when necessary. I did have a house, and then I actually bought another 3-family house. My parents bought it for me and my brother, so I could use that as collateral. But we did have, we did go to a bank at the time to try to open up that first Dunkin', and they refused us.
Wow.
So we went to Dunkin', and Dunkin' loved the location. So they said, okay, we'll finance it, and we'll own the property, but we'll give you 1 year. We want 1 year to try to buy it back. So within that 1 year, we got the money to buy back the entire property.
Wow.
Which was amazing. I was 25 years old.
What was this? What was the secret? I mean, you had been with Dunkin'. You knew what to. Did you have something special that made it successful there? Was it the location? Was it?
No, it was a very good location, and it was really a lot of hard work and a lot of passion. That's what it was all about. I did have a partner at the time, and from that point forward, we moved on to our second location within like a year and a half, and then our third location within another year or two.
So you were expanding pretty quickly.
Yeah, and then we kind of stopped for a while, and then in the 90s, we picked up the pace again, and we started developing in Massachusetts, and we got up to about a dozen stores.
And I know you did about a dozen stores here in Florida too.
We did. We started. Well, what happened was I had a place in Clearwater, and I couldn't mind my own business, so I started being I was a customer at one of the locations in Clearwater, and I just couldn't stand to see the way it was running. And I actually contacted the Dunkin' Donuts.
Sure.
And said, hey, what's going on down here? And next thing you know, I found out about this location that was in Spring Hill that actually was in lockdown. The company developed it, built the store, but nobody stepped up to the plate to open up the location.
Okay.
So I showed interest with Dunkin', and I ended up buying that location in Spring Hill.
At your biggest, how many stores did you have?
We had 12 14 in Florida.
14 in Florida, and then in Massachusetts, you still have 12.
Yeah.
So you had like 26 stores.
26, yeah.
Wow, that's incredible.
Is
that common to see successful operators having multiple locations like that?
Oh, yes. Right now, today, actually, that's the norm. There's a lot of big operators. The operator that bought my stores in Florida is actually a guy that probably has in excess of 100.
Wow.
So they're looking for those big, franchisees who have the infrastructure to, accommodate or oversee, 100, 150, even 200 locations or even more.
Now, you would give me some advice out there, and very, very gracious of you. Like, do you believe there's still opportunities out there for people to get involved and do stuff themselves, to be an entrepreneur? You talked a little bit about real estate, different franchises out there. Like, if you were an entrepreneur looking to start somewhere, like how would you analyze the market? Where would you start? What do you think's good?
Well, I think the first thing you need to do is to save some money.
Okay.
People today, a lot of people are living week to week, month to month, whatever.
Paycheck to paycheck.
You can't live like that. You have to do whatever you have to do within your power to accumulate some
Capital
so that you can, you have some strength
to make some moves.
To make some moves. Exactly. I mean, as a kid, like I told you, I had multiple jobs. I mean, graduated high school, I think, in 1974.
Wow.
And I think I had $10,000 in the bank.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
And that's a
lot of money today.
It's huge. And I was making $1.60 an hour. Wow. So, I mean, I was a hustler.
You're a hustler. I was going to say, you're a hustler.
The opportunity's there today, but obviously you got to find a way to find some capital.
How much money do you think you need to get started?
Well, you could start small. It's,
50, 100.
Yeah, I'm saying you can invest in some, real estate that is not that expensive, and obviously fix it up yourself. Try to generate some income, and try to create some profit centers. From one piece of real estate to the next, and then even side businesses. Today with the internet, I'm not an internet guy, but there's a million ways to make money.
So multiple income streams, passive income.
Exactly.
Okay, and looking for some bigger, flips and opportunities. Again, we're not giving anyone financial advice here. We're just talking about your story and our opinions.
Right.
What do you like right now? You talked about you're looking at some real estate. Obviously, you're at a point where you don't really need to do anything. What do you think's interesting right now in this current market in 2023?
What is it? Real estate in the Florida market's amazing. I think there's so many opportunities here because there are so many highways and byways, and
a lot of people coming down.
Amazing amount of the population is huge. Amazing amount of opportunities, but you got to have some some capital, obviously, and you have to have some guts. You got to take some risk. No risk, no glory.
Yes. Let's wind down here. I don't want to delay our transaction and have your wife delayed it from you guys enjoying the Florida sun here and the holidays. But let me talk about Maserati. You had a Maserati. We're getting you another Maserati, which is really awesome. What do you like about Maserati? You have some other very, very nice cars. How does that brand speak to you, and why do you like Maserati?
I've had Ferrari, I've had Bentley, I've had Mercedes, I've had Range Rovers. My Florida car is a Maserati, and I love driving it. I enjoy driving the Maserati more than I do my other cars in Boston. Okay, and
it's got luxury, it's got sport.
The Ghibli is just the right size for me. It's a 4-door, but it's comfortable, and my wife and I love to ride bikes, so we stick the bike rack on the Maserati, and we go to different bike trails. And people think I'm crazy because I put a bike rack on a Maserati, but it has to be functional. I'm very careful.
It's your car. You can do whatever you want.
I'm very careful with it. I take good care of it.
I've seen that. That's awesome. Well, we appreciate you. We appreciate your business.
Thank you, John. Thank you for everything.
You're welcome. Hey, for Vincent Leo, everyone here at Alfa Romeo Maserati St. Pete, I'm John DiValero. Please check out all the very important disclaimers in the video description below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and a like. Please subscribe and turn on the notification buttons. And of course, we're not giving any kind of financial advice, any kind of advice whatsoever. Everything you do is at your own risk. I will try to answer the comments here on YouTube and on LinkedIn and on Facebook going forward. I really appreciate your time. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.